Cool. The best part about doing this, like, online version with you is that you have, like, a fantastic audio setup. So, it's like, I don't even need to worry.
I legit almost texted you. I was like, do I need to use a different microphone? Like, is it going to be too different as far as, like, just the sound between them? But I was like, it's probably fine.
No, I think it's perfectly fine. But yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to hop on. Dude, I should have, like, brushed my teeth before this. I had coffee earlier today. Normally my teeth are, like, shiny white. I'm staring at it right now, and it's just, like, it's not as, like...
They're still. No, you're fine.
Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I think
happy to be here.
Oh, I think I told you my preference was to have you on the podcast when I'm in Arkansas, when I get to visit you and do it in person, and then probably run it from your computer because I'm gonna like bring my PC all the way across the states. But you know what? This will do for now, and then there will be an opportunity in the future where you're gonna come back here, or like I'll go there, and then we'll do this again, right?
Absolutely, part 2.
Part 2, exactly. So, all right, we'll kick it off then. Hi everyone, my name is Mina. This is my friend Nathan, and welcome to Adulting. It's a podcast where I bring all of my friends over, or like, one at a time, and we have some tea and talk about things.
Life
stuff. You would think it's about being an adult, but in reality, we're just a bunch of kids.
Or about how to avoid being an adult.
True, yeah, because that's also like a trial, I guess, that adults have to go through, maintaining the livelihood. Ooh, I should turn off notifications. That's something I didn't do. Let me go like this. There you go. Perfect. Let me also turn off chat. Perfect. My bad. That's fine. It's probably staying in there anyway. All right, so I want to first talk about, like, what is the menu today? So because we're remote right now, we're going to have different menus. So, Nathan, you want to kick us off on what are the noms?
I'm going to try to show this without just dumping it on my keyboard. But I have a raspberry tart, a watermelon sugar cookie, a lemon Danish blueberry scone, and then I actually don't know, honey lavender macaron. And then I don't know what this is called, but it's like a cream-filled wafer pastry, and it's very good.
A brick of sugar.
Yes, brick of sugar, honestly.
It all looks really, really good. Is there a particular bakery that you went to, or did you go to different ones?
This is all from the same bakery. We went to one that's just down the road. They don't speak English, so I had to bring my wife with me to help me out.
Oh, what do they speak?
They only speak Spanish there.
Oh, okay, I see. I see.
He knows enough to, like, order things, get us by. So we grab tongs and you, like, carry a tray with you, and it's literally open, like, 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. So there's, like, always someone there, like, baking. And you just kind of grab whatever you want and then put it on a tray and then check out. It's pretty cool.
I think that's a good set of hours to be open for. Like, I think that every place that sells good food should be open for that long. But I'm saying that selfishly, right? Because I'm not the one running it. But
especially because I think it's, like, mostly just their family, too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, like, some of them are there in the morning, then some of the kids are there at night. Mm-hmm. So it's, like, I don't know how they do those hours. It's crazy. Because it's also 7 days a week.
Oh, 7. Wow. Yeah, see, my dreams of owning a bakery is, like, it's just going to be open during the weekdays. Oh, yeah. And then, like, weekends, you can, I don't know, order something, and then I'll have it ready. I don't know, whatever. Not talk about my bakery dreams right now, because right now, I had the similar situation where I got the tongs and stuff, and they're picked out, blah, blah. But it wasn't a small mom and pop shop. It was from 85 Degrees, which is like a really, like, it's from 85 Degrees. So it's by no means like a small mom and pop shop, but it's good. Yeah. I went home this weekend, and that's the reason why I got it. Otherwise, if I were here, I probably would have prepared like my own things, from Trader Joe's. But yeah, so I have here a strawberry cakey. Wow. so
Maybe.
pretty, right? Look, my camera focuses.
Those definitely does a better job than mine.
What? Okay, and then I cut them up so it looks more like sightly on this tiny plate. But I got this like chocolate bun that normally I wouldn't really get because I'm not like the biggest sweets person, so like chocolate's already like
Hmm.
overindulgent. Um but my brother wanted some and he got like 30, so I took one home. And then this I think it's called like a half moon almond cake. It's very good. I love almonds. Love almonds, you know. Even though they're like really bad for the environment. Or, like they're like thirsty beaches, right? And then I got some milk cookies. So, yum. I didn't get a lot, but my poison for beverage is also I have my giant teapot here with one bag of chamomile, if it shows. Chamomile. What
Yeah.
are you drinking today?
I have a single cup of gingerbread tea.
What?
Yeah.
That's
From
festive.
Harney and Sons. It's a cool tea shop that we really like. It's in New York, but they ship out their tea and everything. We get their tea all the time. It's
Oh,
very good.
it sounds really good. That's like some. It's also very like festive, you know.
Yes.
Yes, and we're
Still winter.
you
I'm
and
still
me. We're
imagining it's
it's Christmas.
um, uh, yeah, it's Christmas.
When you
Just pretending.
came back in January, we uh we did watch Christmas movies because we're suckers for Christmas movies and Caitlin Lieb.
Yeah. Our bay.
Our babe, Caitlin Lieb. Caitlin Lieb is in a lot of like Christmas movies, like smaller scale Christmas movies. She's like the Canadian Vanessa Hudgens.
It's true.
Right? And she's amazing. But I'm sure the more amazing person is your wife. Are you doing anything for Valentine's weekend? Or did you do anything? Or you do anything tomorrow, which is
Yeah,
Valentine's
we
Day?
yeah, we usually do stuff. We usually will like go out to dinner and like go and kind of make a day of it, hang out. But actually tomorrow we're doing a little bit less. We both have therapy appointments in the morning. So we're gonna go to those, and then she's actually babysitting for a family for a little bit. So she's gonna do that, and then we'll make dinner together. I was going to make us like steaks and veggies and all sorts of stuff, and then we'll just eat that, kind of just hang out at home. Uh, just kind of have an in day instead of going out places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then have a little Christian at the end, huh?
Oh yeah,
I mean, sorry.
I mean,
What? This is a PG. What?
PG.
Anyway,
No,
that sounds really sweet. Aww. What is it
yeah, it'll be nice.
normally like if this is a
Uh,
smaller scale?
yeah. So usually we'll like start in the morning. We'll go to like a little coffee shop or something. There's one down the road that always has like specialty drinks for every like holiday. So they'll like have special Valentine's drinks and stuff too. So we'd usually go there, and then we'd go out and get brunch somewhere, hang out in the afternoon. Like sometimes we'd go to like a park, um, or just go back home and hang out for the day, and then we'd go out to dinner somewhere. So a little bit more homey this year for
Yeah.
sure.
And also like a smaller agenda, which makes sense because it's a Monday and y'all
Yeah,
got therapy in the morning.
true.
I won't ask too much about therapy, but I am curious. Do you go to couples therapy?
No, we did when we first got married.
Mm.
We went to like counseling and everything before we got married, and then when we got married for a little bit. Um, but now we just go individually.
Oh, that's super interesting. Because, like, my only experience knowing about couples counseling is like TV shows, right?
Yeah,
I've never known
yeah, yeah.
anyone personally who's experienced couples counseling. And then, like, I feel like some in my past relationships, like, I'll think about it. I'm like, maybe we should go to couples counseling or something like that. But then I'm like, but I'm not, I don't know if this is like a life thing. And
Yeah.
so, do I want to spend money doing this thing on someone that I'm not sure our relationship is like a life thing? Why did you
Right.
decide, if you don't mind me asking? Obviously, you don't have to
Mhm.
divulge anything you don't want to, but like, why did you decide to do couples counseling before y'all got, you know, wedded?
Right. Yeah. So I think it's actually a common recommendation with a lot of like Christian circles, actually, because
Mm.
we grew up very much in the church.
Mhm.
like a non-denominational church, and they actually like really say like, oh, you need to do this before you get married, like almost like a rite of passage in a way. That's like, oh, as long as X person approves, then like everything's fine.
Oh, I see.
And typically then we went at kind of the whim of our parents and went to like a Christian counselor, so it had that lens with it as well. But it wasn't bad even then. Still gained a lot of insights from it, and I actually think that it is something that's healthy to do, just in general for anybody.
Mhm.
Just because, especially if like you're thinking about like, oh, do I really want to spend the rest of my life with this person?
Mhm.
Couple therapy will expose things about you and the other person and how you work together more than a lot of other things will. So I think it's a really good experience in that way.
Yeah. Are you thankful that you went down that route, even though it was like primarily? And I know you're not. Are you religious?
I would say not as much, not nearly as much.
So like, yeah. Are you thankful, even though it was something that was almost like pressured or like required per your previous religion or religious
Yeah,
practices?
yeah, I would say I am thankful for it. I think it's one of the good things that kind of came from that, even though it did have that lens, like it was still
Yeah.
helpful.
Did did your therapist ever like explicitly tell you or ask like, "Hey, don't have sex," or like, "Are you having sex right now?" Because if you are, that's
No,
bad. And no, they never
no,
asked.
they never asked that.
Okay.
Our families, on the other hand, did.
Why
But
would your families ask that? I think that's so. It's not that it's okay. Obviously, it is invasive, right? And that, but
it's
some
fairly
people don't
invasive.
understand like that being invasive is wrong. So whatever. But like, well, not whatever, but you know what I mean.
Why would
But
you want the answer?
why would you want to know? Right? Like,
I agree.
why would you
I
want to
agree.
know? Obviously, you shouldn't ask it because it's invasive, but also, like, I don't want to know if my parents still, and like, obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
I know. I don't want to ask. I don't want to confirm it. There's some things
Right.
that you just don't have to confirm, and I think this is probably top of the list. I think it is top of the list. I don't think there's any other thing that I like
Want
will
to know
never.
less.
Yeah. What? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
No, oh my God. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but right as we were getting married, like 2 days before we got married, my dad took me out to lunch and just like had this heart to heart and started like crying at at the lunch table and everything.
Mhm.
Just talking about like how he's excited for me and just various things like that, which was like really sweet.
That's sweet.
But then it gets awkward really fast when he takes me to the Barnes and Nobles that's next door, and he starts in the store buying like Christian sex literature.
Nice.
And like it's just me and him in the store, and he goes up to the cashier, and it's just like a stack of like four Christian sex books, and he's just sobbing. He's just crying to the cashier, saying, "My boy's getting married. I'm buying him this stuff." It's like standing there like, yep, getting married. Uh
That's so
Nike,
funny.
let's get out of here, please.
That's such a
It was
hilarious image because it's like if there's anything that to like relate it to, it's like puberty, like a puberty talk or something like that, where like your dad goes up to the counter, like a non-religious father goes up to the counter with you know his son, and then buys condoms on behalf of the son, or like
right.
if a female parent or like a female guardian or someone goes with a daughter or something like that
Hmm.
and buys tampons or pads or something like that. But then in your case, it's Christian sex books at a Barnes and
Which I
Noble.
feel like is worse.
It's
I feel
it's
like
worse
that's
because everyone
worse.
else understands it. I feel like it's a global understanding of like,
Yeah.
all right, they just had the birds of the bees talk, or like, all right, this little girl just got her first period. What kind of content do you think, like, what do you think the person at the register thought? Like, do you think that they thought you were 16?
I don't know. I just remember looking at them, and I think they could tell I was embarrassed, so they just kind of felt bad for me. they're just like just didn't really look at us anymore. It was just like I'm just gonna check these people out. I'm gonna let them get on their way.
Mm. Or alternatively, do you think that the people at the register have had similar experiences?
Ooh, didn't think
Right?
about that
Like,
actually.
because you mentioned how, but you'd mentioned to me before how like it's a religious area in
Hmm.
where you live, but even on top of that, like Arkansas is one of the more religious states in the states. So, do you think that that is equivalent to, buying your kid a box of pads? Do you think they knew?
I mean, good question actually. I don't know. Because I do think that my story isn't that uncommon. I think it is a little uncommon just because my parents are probably a little bit more extreme
Mhm.
than the average person who would just say that they're religious. Because my parents were even pastors for a while, so I was a pastor's kid
Oh,
for some time.
PK.
PK.
PK. I
Uh,
don't know if that you use that verbiage. Did you use that
yeah,
verbiage
yeah,
as
yeah.
well? Okay, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, all the
Cool.
time.
My mom wasn't a pastor or anything, but I knew a lot of PKs.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know if it's like or how common it is or like how weird it is socially or whatever. I just know in that moment I felt very weird.
Do you want kids?
Oh man, what a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So whenever I got married, the answer was 100% yes. Like it even had the plans, the names, everything was picked out, like had an idea of how I wanted that in my head. And that was like goal number one. Now I feel confused about it. Because
Oh.
there's like, yeah, there's like a part of me that's still like one day I'll love the idea of it and be super excited about it and be like, that would be awesome. And then there's other days where I'm like, I really enjoy my life right now and I don't want it to change.
Yeah.
Which,
Like
like, kids would be probably the most dramatic change I would have in my life. So, yeah,
like
it kind of comes and goes every day, honestly.
that's super interesting because I feel like the way it's perceived most of the time, like the ebb and flow of the kids thought is like
Hmm.
don't want kids because I'm young, and then it evolves into I want kids, or they're the people who like are 100% sure that they want kids, and it stays like that forever.
Hmm.
Because I'm on the side of like I have never imagined myself with kids. Even when I was younger, I was like, I don't really see myself as a mother. Something happened,
Right.
something clicked, and I was like, I want kids. And then also recently had like, I told mentioned to you before I had like a dream that I had a kid and a baby daddy, and I was so in love with my kid that when I woke up, I had postpartum depression, which is like really sad because there are people who actually have postpartum depression. But I was so
Right.
attached to my kid. I don't know, I think that just solidifies that I think I do want kids. But yeah, that's interesting. Is it a I feel like it probably is, but is it a conversation with your wifey,
Oh,
spousey?
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So it's one we have like every once in a while about like kind of status update there, what we want to do. If we did have kids, when would it be? Everything like that.
Yeah.
So
What
definitely is like an ongoing conversation.
What do you think will ruin not ruin what do you think will change if you were to have kids? Because you said like I really like the life that I have right now.
Right.
What do you think is gonna change?
That's, I think, a part of the fear of it too is just like the unknown of what actually will change. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a chance that, very low maintenance child, basically very little changes besides I get less sleep, right?
Low maintenance
Like that's
child.
oh
That sounds like an oxymoron. Like that
right.
sounds like it doesn't exist.
I know, but I mean I've met people who are just like, yeah, like we have a 1 year old that they just like sleep through the night every night. Like we never really woke up. They don't really cry. Like,
Aw.
whatever.
Uh-huh.
It's very, very easy for them. And then I know parents where it's like takes every waking moment of every day of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Babies.
so yes, especially babies.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like I don't know. I think one thing that I'm worried about changing is like my relationship with everyone I know, as far as my friend groups and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried that like I will basically no longer have time for anyone outside of my household.
You're
Like
afraid of
I just
like having to leave the Valorant queue.
yeah, that Valorant grind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good enough yet. I need to keep getting better.
Good enough is subjective. Who are you trying
True.
to be good for, right? Your friends or sentinels?
Good point. I don't know. I mostly just play for my friends.
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. So it's like something like that's definitely a concern. You just the idea of like we'll have less money, things will cost more. Uh,
Yes.
so will me and Hannah get to go do as many things like go on
Mm.
vacations or go visit people or even just like going out places, like just out to eat or whatever.
Yeah.
So things like that. I don't know. There's a lot as far as what could change and everything.
And also, given like you and Hannah are relatively young for a married couple, but you have been married for a while as well,
Yeah,
like a few years, right? Or like 3.
coming up on 5 in
Yeah.
May in 3 months. Yeah, just a couple months.
Yeah, so you've been it's a strange conversation, or it's not like the most cookie cutter conversation, because I feel like, recently married couples, the reason, at least this is the pattern I've seen with my immediate circles, right?
Hmm.
Recently married couples, they already know if they do want children, they already know that they're going to have them within a couple of years that they just got married. But that's because they get married later than y'all did. But
Right.
you're coming up on 5, so it seems like, oh, on the timeline, we're late on having children because we got married 5 years ago. We should have had this kid, 4 years ago or something like that. But in
Right.
reality, the age at which you may or may not decide to have children is like completely different. Like
Right.
the proportion is like off, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it does seem like a harder thing to ask yourselves, for sure.
Yeah. And it's definitely like weirder now having like people that we grew up with now having kids and everything and or like even friends of ours, couple of friends of ours that now have kids and uh you know,
Mm-hmm. That
definitely
that thing
brings up the
terrifies me.
conversation more. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it terrifies me. Like there's somebody that I went to middle school with who I was close friends with. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I think we were close friends. Maybe we were not close. Maybe I thought we were close. But I digress. She's on her second kid now. Like I think she popped that kid out. Popped that kid out.
Popped them out.
No, boop. I think she popped that kid out like a year ago, and her firstborn is maybe like 3 now, which means that when I was still in college and when I didn't even like perceive myself to be an adult yet, which mind you we're the same exact age
Right.
numerically, she was a mother, you know, and that's
Yeah,
just like
it's
so strange to me. But I also have to reel myself back and say like people have different goals in life. Like some people, their goal in life is to have a family with children
yep.
in it. I have to specify with children, right? Because you can have a family without children. Anyway, but like, yeah, some people, their goal in life is to have children and have a family, and that's their goal. It's not like a career oriented thing. It's a family
Right.
oriented thing. And then they meet that really fast, and it's scary to me as someone who is like, I think my character
My
is
arc.
like, yeah, is like the one that you see most typically in movies. Like if you watch a Christmas film, I'm that like, not I'm not mid 20s, but like I'm that 20 something single person working like a corporate job and just like doing the all the things that she does for herself and like for the people she cares about already, not
Mhm.
looking for somebody to care for or care about, just kind of like existing as an individual. And that's like, I see that in media so often, so then it's really weird when I look to reality and I see that everyone's different.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your situation? Because yours is also an anomaly compared to, at least I consider it an anomaly because it's an anomaly to the people in like the area that I live.
Hmm.
and the people that I've grown up with. Um, I don't know if it's the same for you, but like, yeah, how do you compare yourself? If you do, you shouldn't, but like,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
do you?
definitely do. I think as far as it being an anomaly here, it's less of an anomaly here. I think people in the Midwest, South, etc., generally get married younger.
Mhm.
Just because I think in general it's more like family values, like I don't know, it's pushed a lot harder here than a lot of other places.
Mhm.
Um, but it had its pros and cons, honestly. Like as far as just doing it, it was nice to be able to just like go through different trials and stuff together, be able to like come out of that like both better people, but also like stronger relationship. But then also like we got married so young that like when we got married versus now, both of us are entirely different people
Mhm.
as far as like our beliefs, our values, like what we do, like what we enjoy, who we spend time with. All of that has changed since
Yeah.
we got married. Um, so we got married at such like a formative time of our lives. Like didn't have like really jobs. Like I was just working as a barista, and she was working at a Dillard's. So it was like our careers have changed, our beliefs have changed, our values have changed. Like literally everything about each of us has changed. So
Mhm.
it's like been cool to like see her grow as a person and change, but then also like the kind of conflict that goes with that, where it's like, oh, we don't align on this thing anymore. It's like we need to kind of like have a conversation about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're totally
Yeah.
right because
So
it
pros
is.
and cons.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, definitely can see like the pros and the cons, right? Because I think the biggest pro would be through the time that you have all of these changes, you have somebody like a significant other that you can rely on and like not necessarily like depend on, but rely on when you do need that support and like expect you can expect them to give you that kind of support. And because
Right.
you're like married, you made the commitment to adjust the kind of support you give based on like what your partner needs and stuff like that. Just generally more committed. I
Yeah.
do think it's like really interesting because I think you may be onto. I think you definitely are onto something, but something's clicking in my head about how it's a lot more common in Arkansas compared to where I grew up, which is California, because or at least like the West Coast, or I
Right.
don't know. I guess it doesn't make sense, but pretty a more religious area. I'm gonna put it at
Yeah.
that because I don't think it's necessarily like a geographic thing. I think it's like a environmental thing because some of my friends who have been in like nearing like 5 to 7 year relationships who are the same age as you, which you're only like a couple years older than me, but like
Hmm.
yeah, there's a couple years of experience there that differs. So when I see it, it's like a completely different world to me.
Right.
They're like also growing and becoming different people, but instead of like being in a marriage, so it's like something that the expectation is to work through it. They just break up.
Right.
Yeah, and then it's like because they didn't get married before. I mean, I think the I think one of the things about marriage is that it's almost like in writing that you're gonna try to work it out, even though in reality you can do whatever you want. But in writing, it's like you're gonna like work it out, and then you also like you make like a vow, right? You make a promise. Um, Whereas for them, where they did not get married or were waiting to get married or something like that, uh, there's even though there's an implicit promise of being in a relationship that you are gonna work it out, there is the option to leave is a lot more visible, and so it's like really strange to me or like really cool to me to see that like you and your wife can work it out and like I don't imagine that the reason why you're like working it out is because of marriage. I imagine it's
Right.
because you love each other very very much. um and that's like a really beautiful thing to see. I'm not saying that like my friends are like wrong for
Right. Of
ending
course.
their relationships. Actually, I'm like a huge proponent of I'm like a huge proponent of you got time.
Yeah,
But at what point do you not have time? You know what I'm saying? But
that's true.
yeah, I think that environment has a lot to do with it though, because I don't think that they were raised in a similar like a religious environment to do that thing where it's like marriage, or like do that thing where it's like, this is my person, I'm gonna commit to you.
Hmm.
Especially given that media doesn't really portray that as frequently anymore, which I think is like
Yeah,
a good thing, but that's always like subjective, you know.
yeah, for sure. And I think like it kind of goes to like why people get married too in general, because I also feel like that varies by region. Because like I have legitimately known people who have like gotten into a relationship and gotten married, like planned the wedding, and like I was at their wedding within like 4 months of them like meeting the person. And it's like, you look and you have to be like, okay, why rush it? And it's like, oh, it's because they wanted to have sex and neither of them believed in sex before marriage.
Oh,
So they legitimately married to have sex. It's like I literally know people who it's like that's their reason for getting married. And like I also know people kind of like us where it's like, we knew we would change,
mm-hmm.
but we were like willing to like, hey, we'll figure it out. We'll have conversations. We'll grow as much as we can together, and like, uh, just try to have that kind of dynamic.
Yeah.
But like everyone is different as far as like why do they get married or why they don't get married. Um, and I think that also plays a really big part into that. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's so common in my areas. It's like people either get married because of religious reasons, and then they also stay married because of religious reasons. Because I
Mm-hmm.
also know
Yeah,
a lot of people who got married very, very quickly and are completely miserable. Like they're both miserable. They hate each other, but
but
they
they'll
stay
stay
married.
because it's religious, like it's bad to have a divorce, you know.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you think that's why King Henry, the what is it, eighth? Do you think that's why Henry the Eighth like had so many wives? Because he was like, well, I can't like have sex with you unless I'm married to you. So he was like, all right, I'll have sex with you, and then I don't know, I'll like kill you or I'll come up with divorce. One or the
right.
other. Yeah. Do you think that's why Henry the Eighth got married so many times? Because I never understood that, right?
Maybe
I'm like, you
I
can
never thought
literally
about it.
have concubines, you know?
Yeah.
Like, be like an emperor or something. If you really wanted to smash, just smash. Why you gotta marry them? Religion.
Yes. It might, at least in that time, it also might have been for like hereditary power, because then you can like
Oh.
marry the kids off to like other places,
Oh.
gain land or whatever.
That's true. I didn't
When
think about
whenever
that.
children were tools.
I mean, they still are, right?
Yeah, I was like,
You
what's
know?
changed, honestly? But
Nothing's different. Nothing's different.
yeah,
Children are tools. And it's crazy because some children are tools in like the most useless sense. And like people will make a business off of making TikToks of their kids. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
I feel like sometimes people have kids so they can post on Instagram.
yep. Honestly,
And it's
for
like,
their vlog.
I'm not gonna be like, oh, and they're not taking care of their kid well, because some of them, like, some of these kids are being taken really well care of. So I'm not gonna like get mad over that. But you can have kids for whatever reason you want, for as long as the kid you're like, raising the kid right, giving them the best life that they could possibly have. I'm fine, whatever. Um,
Yeah,
but the
and
reason to have the kid is like to post on Instagram, like or like TikTok or whatever. Crazy
yeah,
content.
honestly,
Children are
like
content.
I don't. Do you remember the family who would always do like these prank videos of their kids, and it was always like pretty horrible stuff, just
No,
like
I don't
just
remember that.
mistreating their child. They got arrested
Mm.
like a couple of years ago, I guess now, for like child endangerment and everything. But like literally, they had their kids so they could post YouTube videos of them doing like pranks of them like emotionally abusing their children,
What
and
are
they had
the
like millions of subscribers.
what are the types of pranks they would do?
I honestly don't remember because I read up about it like right when they got arrested. however many years ago, and I haven't really like looked at it since.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't remember for sure. But it was just stuff that was like very, I don't know, just seemed off. Just like that seems unhealthy. Like that
Yeah.
seems kind of abusive.
No, it is abusive. That's why they got
And
arrested, right?
yeah, obviously. But
But like, oh my gosh. Wow. That's so they were able to admit in the court of law that they had their kids so they can make content?
yeah, content babies.
That's so messed up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And like they're also really stupid because just stick with your lie. what?
Right. Honestly.
Just stick with. And not that I don't endorse it. I don't agree. I'm incredibly disgusted and very angry. But I'm also gonna throw in there like a little. Why did you
What do
admit
you?
it?
Well,
What
I
did we
mean,
gain out of
whenever
admitting it?
whenever your livelihood is posting video evidence against yourself, you're probably like, what do you have to lose at that point?
Yeah, you're just like, I'm found.
Yeah,
You like
found they got
turn
me.
yourself in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh, that pisses me off.
yeah.
I am upset.
Yep, so that's a thing that has happened and probably will happen
That's what
until.
that's what I think sometimes. Where like this isn't nearly as bad, but it is still like emotional abuse. There's
Mhm.
some people who have relationships so that they can post about their having a significant other, or so that
Oh
they
yeah,
can show off their significant other. And like if they think that their significant other is cool, they just want to be with them so that they can seem cool around their friends or something.
yep. I especially see it with like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just like typecasting, but like male vloggers who will like try to date really really attractive women for views. And then
Oh
they'll break
gosh.
up and then they'll like get back together with them and they'll be like, look, we're back together. And that's like always their biggest video every single time. But like,
Whoa.
definitely is a thing.
I don't know who that is. I'm honestly like not very for as much as
I
for
mean,
how frequently I'm on the internet. I actually like not very cultured on like internet culture, but I
and
believe that that exists.
I might be wrong. This is just like me clicking on YouTube trending and then seeing these random videos over, however many years.
Well, the thing is, I don't think you're wrong because if it gets to the point where people are having children for content, people are obviously gonna have significant other or like publicize their significant other for content as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so frustrating because the thing is like that's also emotional abuse, right? It's like you can
Right.
have feelings for this person, sure, and then you can be with them because you have feelings for them. But if like one of the reasons and like a pretty big reason for you to be with them is because you think that you're gonna look cool with them by your side because you think that they're cool, you have got some problems. You have got some
Yeah.
insecurity issues that you need to deal with yourself.
Yep.
And like you should not be having any significant other, even if it's a significant other that you're not with because like this isn't it's not to say get a different significant other that you don't want to be around and you don't want to use for
Right.
coolness. It's straight up like don't be with anyone
Just
because
don't.
you're a menace. Focus on yourself.
Right.
Go have a date with yourself.
True. People need to do that more often.
They do.
Or just like figure themselves out, at least. At least like think about it.
Yeah, but some people are like they don't have brain cells, right? But I
True.
agree that people should go on dates with themselves. And I think it's ridiculous that it's like so people will talk about it, right? Because people love to make content about like, I like be your independent person. Like I'm having a date with myself and they'll post like a story, whatever. Oh my god, I just burped, excuse me. Like put the damn phone down. Because if you're on a date with somebody, you're not gonna be on the phone, right? You're not gonna be on your
Right.
phone. Put the damn phone down and have a real date with yourself. Because you think about it this way, right? I was talking about this with my friend literally yesterday. I spend time with you, like on Valorant, or like when you came over, we would spend time with each other. Same thing with my other friends. Every single time we hang out, we're gaining little bits of trust in each other. We're
Mm-hmm.
strengthening our relationship. We're learning a little bit more about each other, right? And we're learning about how we're growing, how we're different, how like I'm learning about your goals, you're learning about my goals, and then seeing how as friends we can better each other. When you hang out with yourself, and you spend time with yourself, whether it's going out to dinner with yourself or going to a movie or just going to a cafe or heck, even like meditating, cleaning, doing something for you,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing the same exact thing, but with your own soul. You're getting trust in yourself, confidence in yourself. You're building
Right.
a relationship with yourself. You know what you want. You're learning what you want. You're learning what you don't want. You're learning your own goals, your own preferences, and how to treat yourself better.
Right. Yeah, people don't do nearly enough introspection
Mm-hmm.
about like themselves, their own lives, what have you.
Yeah, and it's sad.
Yeah.
I kind of like pity that, even though I don't pity it because I'm like I go on dates with myself, so I'm better. Like I'm lonely, so I'm better. I'm not like saying that, but it's almost like, isn't that the point? You know, isn't that the point of like life, is to just try to be a better person, or like try to grow every day? And if this is
Right.
a very obvious way of doing that, why don't you do it? Or like, why don't you
Right.
try to?
Makes sense. Or at least just like the getting rid of seeking validation from others all the time. Or like I think is the biggest like gain from that, where it's like, oh, I don't need someone else's opinion on how I live my life or what I'm doing, whatever, to like be content with myself.
Yeah.
Like I think that's like the biggest thing that people need to figure out, but it takes
Yeah.
time.
And the scary thing is, like, there are people who can walk around and say, like, oh no, like, I don't need validation from anybody else. But your actions speak so much louder than words, you know?
Right.
The way that
And
you
it can
treat the
even
people around you.
yeah, and it can even change. Like there have been like years of my life where that has been true, and it's like, oh, I don't like seek validation from other people, and then different times in my life where it's like I need validation from others.
Yeah.
So
But
it's like it can change, and you kind of like need to recalibrate as your life changes and your situation changes.
yeah. And I don't think it's a bad thing at all to, like, want validation from other people, but to need it is a little bit different, right?
That's true.
And then
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you get into the times that you do want it from other people, try treating yourself out, and then so that you can at least get the validation from yourself, and then hold off until someone's ready to validate you, like, but that you're not like dependent on it.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, some people are so insecure. I'm really tired of being around people that are that. Well, okay, here's the thing, right? You're my if you're my friend and you're feeling
mhm.
insecure, by all means, come to me for validation, or like come to me for like if you need anything, you need like a shoulder to cry on, whatever. Everyone gets insecure now and then. I'm not saying that's
Right.
a bad thing. And there are so many things going on in the world that make it a lot easier for us to feel insecure, right? But for that, like, to be your whole identity, for you to never change or never want to change or never
Right.
realize that you should or have to, it's a little bit sad.
Yeah.
It's a little bit sad.
Yeah, I definitely have known people like that, where it's like that's literally how they would define themselves, as like very insecure, seeking validation from others, and that has how they've been like pretty much their whole lives. And it is kind of sad because it's like whenever they don't get that, usually what happens is they get depressed or like you know
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah, and like,
it's
mental
just,
illness is hard. Like, it is hard to do these things when you are already feeling unwell. Like, it's
yes,
hard to go on a date
absolutely.
with yourself when you're not liking yourself. It's hard to, like, give yourself validation when you don't really care about your own opinion. Like, you don't value your own opinion. So it
Right.
is really hard, but I also know that there are a lot of people that this is specifically for the people who aren't in that position, right? Where it's like they have the resources to do things and be a better person, or like they have the time to be introspective, or like the time to like learn how to not be so dependent on other people, and then
Right.
they don't do it. It's like the people it's like those people who like their only friend, and like their best friend and only friend is like their significant other, and then when
Yeah.
they break up they get another significant other best friend,
Yep.
and it's like, you know that they're just codependent on not necessarily like a significant other, but like on people, and that's why
A
they
person. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a little sadaroni, but for obviously mental illness like super important, um,
Yeah.
and if you're not, it's totally viable to not have the time and not have the resources to be able to do that for yourself. There's a lot of people that are put in that position, and you know what? Like, I'm not judging them at all.
Right.
That's
Yeah, as you
like,
said, it's mostly the people who can and don't.
yeah. That's why I
Or
get
worse,
really
the people
angry
who
at like,
recognize it and don't.
oh, yeah. Because the first step is recognizing, right? And like,
Right.
it's so BM if you take the first step, but you don't take any more steps. It's like, oh,
Right.
so you're just gonna admit that you're gonna be a sack of doo doo for the rest of your life? You're lame.
Yep.
You suck. But yeah, it's like the same thing with I get really frustrated with very affluent people. And okay, I understand. Okay, I have enough empathy to be like, there's a perspective of this that like my frustration isn't valid,
Hmm.
and like I need to have more understanding. I understand that. But if I'm allowed to go off and I'm allowed to like act on those frustrations, I will admit I am frustrated. Frustrated
Right.
at those affluent people who like have resources, but then like they could complain about a particular problem that either themselves or their community is facing, but they very obviously have the resources to do something about it. Obviously not everything is black and white,
Right.
but in a lot of cases they do have the resources and they just like don't do anything about it. They decide to complain because you know what you have content.
Yes.
You have the ability to complain, or you have something to complain about, and you can victimize yourself and then
Right. I think that's something everyone does, like regardless of like social status. As far as like you always
mhm.
kind of will find. Not everyone does this, obviously, but people will find something that's like they blame for XYZ problem or whatever. Um, but I feel like the problem with more affluent people is sometimes they'll like put blame on something that is a luxury for most other people. So they'll like be like, "Oh, I just don't, I can't do this," and it's like, "Well, I could never even imagine of having that like
Yeah.
in my entire life."
I think it's fine to complain. Complaining
Yeah.
is like one of the top 10 fun things to do while you're alive.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
lot of fun to complain. But to want to complain to be a victim is like, oh, dude, get a life.
Yeah.
Like, there are some people out there, this transitions to another topic too. There's some people out there who's like kink. They have like they have like a social kink of being the victim. Like, and I could go off on which groups I think these are. It's a
Right.
little, but I don't really like. I kind of want to say it, but I'm also like really scared too. Like, I've complained about this to so many people behind like closed doors, but let's just say that there are certain groups of people who have historically not had problems or were always on the upper hand, and then now they're looking for ways to be, they think that it's like hip and trendy to be like marginalized, so they'll find ways to explain how marginalized they are, and then even like a minority group within that group of people will reap the benefits of like a particular movement towards like an attribute that they have. I know I'm being like super abstract with this, but I'm just like scared.
Your podcast, you can go as much detail as you want.
No, I'm
Nah.
not gonna. But yeah, it's like people have like a kink of being the victim, and
Yeah.
it's like, and for what? The attention,
Yeah.
the attention,
Hmm.
and then it goes back to that validation thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that all the time here.
In
Specific
Arkansas.
in Arkansas or just anywhere in the South, I think especially
Oh.
because
Mhm.
with kind of two facets. One is social, and then one is religious. Where like there are certain religious people who constantly believe that they are under persecution, like even if they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have legitimately heard out of people's mouths like, oh, like them allowing kids to uh, have whatever religion they want in schools is like anti-Christian. Like freedom of belief is anti-Christian, and it's like, yeah, things like that where it's like backwards, but it's just like, oh, this is an attack on my beliefs, my religion, like,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, it's just like kind of a nice thing to do, you know?
It's a separation of church and state, and it's also giving children free will.
Yes, and the freedom of religion that you say you oh so want, as long as it's my religion. Ugh. But
Yeah.
uh, there's a lot of that I see in this area. Um, there's like that aspect, and then there's like the social aspect, like the anti-maskers. I feel like is like the big one, or
Oh my
anti-vaxxers. You know,
jeez.
where it's just like it's like no, I have my rights, and like they're trying to force me to do stuff. I'm being like marginalized. Like legitimately saw a counter protest for like the anti-mask stuff where people were like holding signs "I can't breathe," like mocking the
Ooh.
George Floyd movement, like things like that, where it's like uh just yikes.
Yeah,
Like
that
there's
makes me
no better
so
way to
freaking
explain it.
angry.
Yeah, like it's just like how can you like be so insensitive to like people around you and like things that have happened in the world, and like the only reason is because like well they believe that they're being marginalized even though they're like southern wealthy white people like in the south. But it's like they've made up this reason that they are marginalized, like
Yeah.
socially, religiously, I think are the two biggest ones. But like it's just it grosses me out and it makes me so angry whenever I see it.
Yeah, that makes me want to just like throw up. Scream, cry, and throw up. I
Yeah.
don't like that at all, especially like the usage of a dying man's last words, which incited the biggest Black Lives Matter movement today in 2020, the one
Hmm.
that they very much so detested. Which statistically, right? Not all of them,
Yeah.
not all of that demographic that you were just talking about, but like
Right.
majority of the like statistically, majority of them were the ones that were like, oh, like these people are
They're
ruining
just
like the
looters.
streets. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're just looters. This is like a ridiculous thing to fight over because police protect us, and
Right.
like they were just doing their job. George Floyd shouldn't have had that counterfeit. Like, what the heck?
Hmm.
And that even more so solidifies the whole thing where it's like there's some people out there who are just they have a victimization kink. They want to be
Right.
the ones that are like consistently served and like they want to be the one that are pitied. And you know what? I do pity you. So you got exactly what you wanted. But I pity you in the sense that like I'm so sorry that you are wrong. I'm so
Right.
sorry that you're just so stupid
You're so
and so
wrong.
wrong.
Confidently
And
incorrect.
you can't be helped. Like I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that no one can help you.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, it's really hurtful to see things like that and to know things like that, especially not especially. There are a lot more worse things, but also given that a lot of people died in this pandemic and you want
Hmm.
to talk about your rights to wear not wear a mask, like you're just build a cafe in your own house.
Yeah.
Build a cafe in your home if you wanted to, and then don't wear a mask in that one. But don't go to Starbucks where like I don't know, someone's grandma goes and gets her like latte every day. Someone's immunocompromised son or something like
Right.
that who does, use a mask and is vaccinated, but can still contract it
Right.
and can still have really like terrible symptoms that could
Right.
ruin them forever.
it's just like I don't know. It's so inconsiderate of other people, and I
Absolutely.
and it's like they get so caught up in like being a victim that they just like cannot think empathetically anymore. Like they
Yeah.
just can't.
Look, listen,
Uh,
if they can get mad about like being forced to wear a mask, it's not they're not being forced to wear a mask. You're just not allowed to enter this private establishment without wearing a
right,
mask because this private establishment wants that. Why aren't they getting mad about like no shoes, no shirt, no service? You know,
right.
like what if I
It's
want
the
to
same
enter
idea.
a I want to enter an establishment and like without a shirt. I don't. But you know,
Nothing.
like
Yeah.
but this one's significantly worse because it's a literal disease, you
Safeguard
know?
for people. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's just, except that one's like public decency kind of thing.
Right. Sure, but no one's gonna, die if I walk into a store without my shoes on.
I mean,
Like,
maybe if you have like maybe if your feet really stink. You
I
get stinky feet,
mean,
Nathan? You get stinky
not
feet?
COVID stinky.
No, it's stinky.
Not worse than COVID stinky.
But do your feet smell? Don't smell
I
them on
think
camera
so.
right now because no free feet. Yeah, yeah, go indoors.
True, true. Yeah.
Or like waft it up.
Well, I think generally no.
Good, good. Yeah, I don't think I have smelly feet. I don't know. Maybe like sometimes, if you go for like a long run,
Right. Yeah.
if you're active during this,
Like
you're like constantly walking, you come home.
when it like makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like after having watched them and existed for like a couple hours, or
They're
for
fine.
like even 24, right? But like not having done anything super intense,
Mm-hmm.
I think I probably got like really good smelling feet.
Yeah.
Like the
At,
internet
at
people who
least
like
at least
feet.
average.
Yeah. Like I could sell. Actually, it would be that my feet scent, like if I rubbed it on a napkin and sold it, it wouldn't sell as much because it's not it doesn't have that much of a stench. I would
Mm-hmm.
assume that they would want a large stench, and I just don't think I could provide that. I just got like
True.
good feet.
Not to settle for pics and stuff.
Would you ever sell feet pics?
I mean, sure, it doesn't hurt me, and if someone's buying it,
Have you considered
I
it?
know
Like, have you
because
ever been like, oh, I'm looking for some extra income?
let me just post it on Craigslist real quick. No, no, haven't considered it,
Hmm.
but maybe I should. Maybe I'm making a mistake.
I've considered it. I've definitely considered it. I think every modern female has considered like having conversations with older men over the internet and like FaceTiming them for that extra like 1,000 a
Mm-hmm.
week. I think most of us have considered that at some point.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's like easy money.
It's like not hard, yeah.
Yeah. But the hard
You just
part
have to be
about
like slightly endearing toward them.
yeah. Yeah, because some of them okay, well they say they just want company, right? But like so I guess you gotta be careful. I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
yeah. Because if they're willing to pay that much for random company, it's a little sketchy. Or can be a
I
little
like to
sketchy.
believe that they probably exist. Like sugar daddies that literally just want to talk to someone. I like to believe that that
Yeah,
exists. Um, I think that they're probably very rare though.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. I wish there were a large market for them that were actively seeking instead of scammers looking
Right.
for desperate people's bank account numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of bank account numbers, we talk about
Yeah.
finance quite a bit.
Yeah.
Actually, we talked about it like twice. But you have been
We
financially
both know
independent.
we're into finance.
Yeah, we're both into personal finance, and
Yes.
we've talked about it a couple times. Um, so how's that going for you? I don't even know what to ask about that. I just wanted to like point it out.
Yeah. I mean, well enough. It was like it's gone up and down
Yeah, I guess
before
okay.
I
Maybe like a better
yes.
question then. That's not so like open-ended and like
Hmm.
weird to ask. Is like how was your discovery of your personal finance journey starting from cuz you started when you were very young. So like
Yeah.
how did that go? How did that evolve through the years? And then what are your financial goals at the moment?
Gotcha. So, how did it evolve through the years? Actually, extremely young, younger than you would think. I
You were
started
renting at the age of 5.
not exactly, but I joined a band when I was 13, and we actually were able to make money. Enough money that I actually had to like market under my parents. So it kind of started from there. My dad knew quite a bit about finance, and basically, as I was making money, he would kind of help me budget and like help me out with like uh, saving some of it because of you know tax reasons and everything like
Mhm.
that. I don't honestly remember exactly how it worked when I was that young. I just remember like after I made a certain amount of money, like I had to report it, but I don't remember. Um, so that was a thing. So he kind of taught me like some of the basic finance stuff and continued being in that band. We continued making some money up until I was like 16 ish. And just kind of continued learning under my dad. And then after that, started doing my own freelance work and working with different companies and everything. So kind of just had to figure some of it out too.
Mhm.
We'd come up with or like kind of confront something new and just be like, oh, we don't really know how to like do this. Like we'll figure it out. Um, so mistakes were made along the way. Um, but yeah, it was mostly through that, and then just kind of figuring it out as things happened. Like did my taxes one year, and then realized I had to pay back like $3,000.
Shoo, that's a lot.
Yeah, so it was like, oh, how did that happen? And that was like my first year doing freelance audio engineering. So I
Oh, I
was like
see.
making more money than
Right.
when I was in my band. So I just kind of screwed it up.
When did you start investing?
Um, little bits and pieces when I was younger too. Probably when I was like that age, whenever my dad was showing me stuff like 13, 14. Not a
Cool.
lot, but just like a couple dollars here and there.
Yeah.
Um,
But still, like
and
compound interest, that couple dollars is probably like 10 now.
yeah, it's true.
That's like one
Yeah,
cup of coffee now.
it's true. Yeah, and I wish I had done some of the things that I had thought about doing then, because two of the things that in my teens, like 10 years ago, or almost 10 years ago,
Is it crypto?
I,
Is
dude,
it
it was
crypto? It was
crypto and
crypto.
Tesla. It was Tesla. I remember, I
No.
remember because I've been following crypto for like a really long time. Didn't know what it was like all the way
Uh,
back then, but I remember when crypto hit 100, like Bitcoin specifically hit $100.
wow. And now
Yeah,
it's at
and I just
42K.
yeah, and I told my dad about it actually back then, and I could not explain it to him in a way that he was just like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense to invest in," because I didn't even really know what it was besides like found some random subreddit that was like hyping it up or whatever. So he was just like, "No, like this seems sketch." He was like, "This seems
Which
weird,"
I
which like
think
is
is
I
like,
think a fair response.
yeah, I think it's a valid concern, especially if it's a parent, like, and money. Like, your
Yeah,
parents gonna want you to do good things with your money, and if it's not
yeah,
really like certain, but I also think at the same time, like, so okay, if you don't mind me asking, the size of that money when you were 13 and like just starting to invest, how much was it? Like $100 or something like that? Like 50 or like
like how much was I
a
investing?
thousand? Yeah, yeah. How much were you
Oh,
investing?
it was like 50 bucks, 50 to 100
I
bucks,
think that it would have been perfectly fine to let you put in that 50, and if it
whatever.
tanks, that's your mistake and you learn that. That's a valuable lesson regardless of whether or not you like gain something from it. Gain money from it.
Right. And
But then
I
also
think
that
I
50.
agree with you. You want so much money now. Honestly, hard to think about sometimes. But I like I do get where my dad was coming from too, where he's like, no, I want to teach you how to like invest right.
Yeah.
Or like how to invest into things that like or safer or like, whatever.
Yeah.
So like I do understand where he was coming from, but dang, kind of got unlucky.
Yeah. I bet he was like index funds.
Yeah,
Those index funds. Or
a
like
lot of
some
index fund,
bonds.
mutual
Yeah.
funds, etc., etc.
Mm. Well, that's it's still good that you learn like investing at the young age.
Yeah,
I started learning about it a year ago.
nice.
No,
Honestly,
less than.
any time is better than never learning about it.
Actually, it was about a year ago. No, well, so I always knew it existed, right? But I
Mm,
didn't start participating in it until like literally a few months ago, maybe like half a year ago. And that was because when I started work, I work for a financial services company. I was like, it it's kind of shameful to
right.
like work for me personally. Other people can do whatever they want, but like for me personally, it feels shameful for me to work at a financial services company and not be a very good, not have a good financial like perspective that
Yeah,
that includes investing and saving and
right.
thinking about the long term goal of retirement. But so
That
I
makes
think
sense.
that's cool. What are your present financial goals, if you don't mind me asking? Because you do
Yeah,
have a house. That's a lot
yeah.
of people's like end game financial goals. Like have a house, good. I'm gonna go on like 50
Yeah.
cruises now. Right?
Yeah, definitely slightly different in my area because the housing market is so cheap. Like, I think I can get a house for like an eighth of what it costs in California or like
Yeah, let's
major
just not
cities
talk
in
about
California.
California housing
So
right now.
it's like,
Let's
yeah,
just not talk about California
yeah,
housing right now. It's just depressing.
yeah. So it's like, I don't know, it's less big of a jump because like my mortgage is the same as like my rent, what that my rent was. So it's like, I don't know, it just made sense to do because it's like, well, if we think we're gonna live here a while, like, might as well have it go towards something that we own, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that was definitely like a big financial goal and still is obviously like putting money toward that and everything. But I think next major goals is like starting to save again for retirement. Because I have I haven't done that in some time.
Well, I mean, you've also been in school.
Because yes, I was about to say because with COVID, not having a job and everything like has definitely made the financial goals change year to year.
Yeah.
But I think that's like the next big one is like, oh, have like stable income again and like
Right.
be able to save for retirement and invest again. Things that we just haven't been able to do since our income has been so like all over the place. Um, is kind of just the next step. But yeah,
And I think you should be flexible. Like, I think that's the most important part about personal finance is to be flexible because random stuff happens all the time. And if you are super rigid in your um like I guess personal finance journey, it's
hmm,
not going to benefit you, you know?
right,
It's just going to like unless you're like your thing is like to dollar cost average or something like that. I feel like that's
sure,
like always a pretty good thing. You know?
yeah,
It's kind of like, if you practice dance a little bit every single day, then at some point your muscle control is going to be really good. You're going to be a better dancer than you were. You might not grow as exponentially or something like that. And
hmm,
then all of a sudden your like leg breaks, but you still like dollar cost average in the sense like you're practicing your upper body dancing, you're still
right.
gaining something out of it. I don't know. It's silly like comparison, but
No, it works because like even whenever I taught guitar for a little bit, I would tell people that it's much better for you to practice just like 5 minutes a day. Just like pick it up and do it even for a little bit rather than dedicate an hour like once a week. Like it's way better for you to just pick up and do it every day because you get way better at building the muscle memory and like
yeah.
just the habits and everything.
And it's the same with like personal finance, right? Like it's better to save like $1 a day than
Yeah,
to
better
save
to do
like
things incrementally as much as you
yeah.
can. Yeah.
Yeah. Where
In
not gonna lie
accordance
to
to your
you,
means.
that's not what I do. Because what I do is I'm like, ooh, I got some money right now. time to buy some crypto, time to buy some stocks, and then when like the market goes down, I'm like, ooh, time to dump a bunch of money in. Let me take money out of my savings so I can dump money in because I haven't gotten paid yet and I get paid next week, but I want to buy it like right now. So I got some pretty terrible practices in terms of like investing.
Right. I would say that's kind of normal though, because I think some people do is they'll see their stock go down and they'll be like, I need to put more money in now because it can't go any more down, surely. I need to make my money back.
I need to start I need to start budgeting again.
I did that often back in the day.
Yeah, I need to start budgeting again. We should schedule like a budgeting session, you and me.
Yeah,
where we
that'd be cool.
do like percentage budgets or whatever, and we're like, what do you think? Like, what do you think about the way I allocated this? And it'd be like, I think it's a little too much on this or something like that. We should do that. We should schedule that because I haven't budgeted in a fatty minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you this, but like one of the reasons is I recently made like a song with my friends, and one of the lines that I wrote is like, I done cashed it all. I took the money, you know, that I swiped it. And it was literally after that day that my spending went from like being very frugal, very money conscious to like, let's go. Yeah, like I make money.
You internalized it.
Yeah, I did. I manifested it. I did internalize it. I adopted my own lyrics as a lifestyle. I literally say in the lyric, my lifestyle, I know you want to try it. And then my brain was like, yeah, I kind of do. And now I'm not in a bad position financially, but I definitely messed up in a goal that I had, which was to be a little bit more frugal, be more money conscious, save more than I spend. No, I do save more than I spend still, but it's like I'm not saving nearly as much as I used to.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes in waves.
Yeah.
For sure.
Money. But yeah.
We budget pretty much every time there's like a major income or expense change. So like one of us got a raise or like changed jobs or whatever, we redo our budget. Or like we move or like something like that where it's like some expense has changed or we budget again then too. That's pretty much the only times. We don't do like a monthly thing or anything like that.
The interesting thing to me is the we part, because obviously like I know it's like you're married, so then a good amount of like married people have like joint bank accounts, so like they share the money. It's like a money pool rather than like your independent money. I never see myself opening up a joint account. Not because I'm greedy. Not because I'm greedy or anything like that, but because I'm like I would want to be, and again, yeah, everyone's different. Everyone has different values. I want my significant other to want to be self-sufficient.
Right.
And like I'm not saying that because I'm not saying that like, oh, if my significant other and I like share a budget, we're not self-sufficient. It's more of like a mental thing. Cuz I need it. I need the visible separation of bank accounts and money flow. I need to like visibly see that it's separate. Otherwise my mind doesn't register that like this is my share of it or like their share of it or something like that, the way I want it to be.
Right. Which makes sense. But yeah, everyone's different. There's definitely like pros and cons to it. Either way.
I bet. I already can't see the money flow like if I can't like if I'm not actively paying attention to my budget as per the last month, if I'm not paying attention to my budget, if I don't see how things are going, it just like anything goes.
Yeah.
So if I were to have like a significant other that I like shared stuff with as well, like it's over for me. I'm not paying any attention.
Right.
The financial goals that I have for being in like a relationship like that, they just won't happen because I am blind.
Yeah.
Yep. I have to be very intentional.
Makes sense. Plus it can cause conflict as far as like oh, why did you spend this here? Like, we're gonna do this with it and like stuff like that whenever it's joint. But like,
Oh yeah, you're right. That's actually another reason why I wouldn't want to join is because I witnessed um really frustrating things with people that I've seen for are in long-term partnerships, and like
mhm,
one person will like take entire control of what happens with that money, with that shared money, because they don't trust their significant other to make those decisions, and it's like
right,
really condescending. Even if the significant other, even if the other person is the one who's making the money the most, it's like,
right,
oh, I think that's like another reason I'm scarred from seeing it in other people, and I'm like,
yeah,
no, I'm like, no. But then at that point, it's a situation. At that point, it's a relationship problem, not a money problem.
right, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and relationships are a little weird, and they're all very, very, very different.
right,
Um,
yes,
yeah. But all right, so I think we'll close up here. Now that we've circled back into the whole relationship thing, happy
yeah,
Valentine's Day. Happy Galentine's Day today when we're
true.
filming this. It is February 13th, which is Galentine's Day. So happy Galentine's Day, Nathan.
Thank you. I am not celebrating, but I
What?
appreciate.
We're celebrating right now.
This is Galentine's.
Yeah, it's like when you have Valentines with your friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
I well then okay, yes, I am celebrating.
Yeah. Galentine's is not gender specific. It's
Mm,
relationship specific. It's like you spend it with your friends rather than your significant other. Yep.
noted.
Leslie Knope taught me that. I think. I don't know. I haven't watched Parks and Rec in like years, but yes, thank you so much, Nathan, for attending this episode of
Yeah, I was happy to be
adulting.
here.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Was your food good? I feel like I didn't see you eat.
I ate some of it, yes, and it was all. Everything I tried was good.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, we'll leave it off here, but before we go, is there anything that you'd like to tell the world or like the two people who are going to listen to this? Any
Thank you.
it could be advice, it could
Mm.
be you could roast them, it could be a parable, it could be yeah, it could be anything. Is there anything you want to say?
Oh, yes, just thank you for being here. Make sure that you live your lives uh with yourself in mind. Take care of yourselves. Live your best lives and have a great day.
That's so sweet. Okay, I'm gonna throw this out there before we go, but like Nathan is like the sweetest person in the entire world. Like the most thoughtful human being in the entire world. That's why I'm gonna have a friend break up with him in like a year when I decide that I'm too good for people like that. That yeah, who are like that.
Can't have that toxicity in my life anymore.
No, no. I can't be around people who are nicer than me because it just makes me feel insecure that I'm not nice enough. So I can't wait for that arc. Actually, Nathan, do you mind saying the final closing words so that I can end it on your voice because you have the narrator voice?
What are the final closing words?
I don't know. How would you close this out? I don't know how to close it out.
Always the struggle with content, isn't it? Thank you everyone for joining us for tea and snacks and adulting. We'll see you next time.